I have a 9.9 that has set for probably about 4 years, and pretty much clogged everything up letting it sit on the carburetor. So I was just gonna run through a fast thing that you could do before totally saying that your carburetor is no good. But first thing you need to do is you need to take this drain screw out of the bottom of the bowl and drain your carburetor. Get the fuel out of it. Take this line off. Go ahead, you got a clip here. That's for your choke rod. Choke rod will come off. You can take your throttle rod, same thing, right there. Just set it down. And then you're ready to take the carburetor off. But like I say, this is just something that if you have any kind of mechanical skills, you can do. And like I say, this one was terrible. It wouldn't even allow fuel to come into the carburetor. Here's your supply line. It runs to the back of the carburetor, and it would not even allow any fuel into the carburetor. But just want to give a quick overview of what you can do to clean your carburetor as a DIY. It's not going to be perfect, but it will get you to running. Pull your carburetor down. Take your supply line off. And so you've had the carburetor is drained. Take this line and just stick it back up. All right, you got the carburetor off, sitting on your table, bench, wherever you have it at. You can go ahead and take your bowl off. Take your bowl. And whenever you take your bowl off, go ahead and you can take your O-ring, set it over to the side, because you don't want to get any carb cleaner, brake cleaner, anything like that. But you're going to want to, we got a little jet there, which this right here is what I believe is your, when you come out of the hole, or when you press more than just off of an idle, like wide open throttle, it will give you extra fuel. So there's a little plunger in there. There's a little plunger, and as soon as it goes down, it will give you a little extra fuel, so that way it don't stall out. But like I say, we'll take all that apart, and what you're going to want to do is just get everything clean. All your, there you go, see that right there, it comes out as a spring and a little piston, and that there, whenever, let me see, get it here, whenever you give it throttle, wide open throttle or throttle, it pushes down on this plunger, which gives you a little bit of extra fuel so it don't stall. But what you want to do is get in and spray all of it. You want to wear glasses, but you want to clean. Sometimes you got to get down into the bowl, and I think I done sprayed my lens, but You want to get it good and clean. You might have to get you a little wire brush, not no stiff wire brush, but maybe want to get you a little wire brush and get down in there real good. You've got a couple ports in here. Get all that. Like I say, all your holes, wherever you spray, there's going to be, if you notice there's stuff coming out in other holes, if any of it's clogged up, it's not going to work like it's supposed to. So you want to get everything good and clean in there. Like I say. Then you want to come over here. Let's see if I got a little rag that I can sit this down on. Alright, so you got your float and all here. Of course, you know what your float does, keeps your carburetor from overfilling. On these, they have an arrow. It's actually pointing there right on that top. It tells you which way to push the pin out. I'm sure there are tools for this. I don't have them, but you can press it out. You do that, and then you'll have to get you another something a little smaller. You can use a punch, which I'm not going to use a punch, but get something smaller that go right in to it. Like I say, sometimes it's a little aggravating, but push it on out. You can pull your pin, take your float, look at it all. Like I say, that right there is basically, it just plugs off whenever the float goes, which would be up in the correct orientation. It just caps off and basically plugs off the fuel so it don't overfill your carb and fuel go everywhere. And then you've got a couple jets. One of these is the idle jet, one of them is your main jet. You will pop this one loose, and this one that has the hole in it, there will be another jet up under it. You see the hole there? You're going to want to make sure all of the holes are clean. No matter where it's at, you're going to want to make sure it's clean. But you're going to have another jet that is up under the one with the hole in it. So you'll go in, get it like that. And this one here, you're like, is it screwing out? Yes, it's just, there's just a lot of threads there, and it will screw out. It will screw all the way out. For some reason, if it gets hard, go in just a little bit and I make a mess. But like I say, this jet here, I believe is the idle jet. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this one is the idle jet, and it has a little hole in it as well. You're going to take it out and you're going to clean it as well. And then you've got this jet here, which is this is just a plug here. But you're going to take this plug out, and behind it will be your other jet. This jet goes all the way into the carburetor. This is one, so I think this is the main one. But you can reach in there and you can just pry it just a little bit, and it will pop out. And this jet here, it has, if it'll focus, see all them little holes? You got 1, 2, you got a bunch of them, and they're cross drilled, like almost cross drilled. Sometimes you have to get some wire in there and get those clean, but all those little holes, wherever they're at, but you can look through. If I turn it just right, if you look, let's see if we can get it. Yeah, you see that one right down there. There's a couple more, but you want to look up in the sunlight and you're going to want to get them very clean. Make sure they're all cleaned, and you're going to want to make sure there's nothing blocked in here. Like I say, this fuel comes in, comes to the bottom of the float. Like I say, that's where the float blocks off with the fuel flow when it fills up as much as it needs. So want to make sure all the holes are clean. Then we're going to take off the top, because we want everything to be cleaned. Because this top up here, it has some jets, or not jets, but they have some holes that you want to make sure that you can have clean. Like I say, this is just something before you condemn your carburetor. It's not like taking it to a carburetor shop, letting them soak it for hours and, you know, use different kind of electronic or different kind of functions. But you got this right here that'll come out of the top. And like I say, if you look right in there, you've got quite a bit of ports, little tiny holes where all this carburetor sucks air, pulls fuel. Like I say, you want to get everything blowed out, cleaned out. And like I say, you want to use glasses, because that's starting fluid, or not starting fluid, but carb cleaner, brake cleaner, whatever you're using, it will blow everywhere. So you're going to want to come right here. You're going to want to see that coming out. You're going to want to blow all the holes out. Say all these go somewhere. So you want to make sure it's good and clean. Every single hole. Once you get it very clean, you're going to start going back together with everything. And like I say, this one here hadn't run for 4 or 5 years whenever I started working on it. And it wouldn't even allow fuel to come in. The fuel, it was clogged up in here, varnish and all had done clogged everything up. But there is a way, once you get the your float in, you can check to see if the float's working properly. And then once you go back together with it, you can, once you fire it up, you'll be able to see if it's going to idle. Like I say, if one of them little holes are clogged up, it is not going to run properly. It may be idle, it may stall when you give it throttle. There's just so many different little ports. That's why I say tear it completely down. And like I say, we just tore it completely down pretty much, and get every hole or orifice, port, whatever, get every single one of them as clean as you can get it. Make sure you can see through it. Make sure it's blowing through good. So I'm not a small engine repairman. I'm actually a heavy equipment mechanic, but anybody that has any mechanical knowledge can do this and give them a shot at possibly getting their carburetor back running. without having to get a new carburetor. Like I say, you'll get all these jets. You get your jets. You'll make sure they're off. Sometimes you may have to get a piece of wire. Like I say, you may have to get a piece of wire, a little small piece. Torch cleaning tips, or what you use to clean torch tips. They'll work good. So you want to make sure all the holes are cleaned. You just stick it back down in it. And make sure just a little bit of sure that's there. Like I say, you're gonna make sure all of your holes are clean. You can see through that one. You're gonna make sure, I mean, they're fine holes. Like this one here. Can't get it to focus. But you wanna make sure that all of them are very clean. Slightest piece of trash. Slightest piece of trash will clog them. So you're gonna put this jet in here. Like I say, this is just a fast overview. I've pretty much already cleaned it, but I wanted to show you what you could do. Just snug that down. And again, make sure all your holes are clean. Make sure they're clean. I would believe that you would be pretty happy with what the outcome would be. You want to, once you get it cleaned. Now up for the float. Make sure your needle's in. Then you'll come up and you'll find your pin, and you'll go in the opposite direction of the arrow. Like I say, the arrow is right there. It's a little hard to see. You might have to get a magnifying glass to do it. And like I say, I'm sure there's a tip, I mean a tool that you can use to do this job. I don't have it. And again, I don't know the torque specs on any of this. I have not looked them up. So if you want the torque specs, you're gonna have to look those up because I don't know what they are. And it would help if I had my pliers adjusted right and it would squeeze like it should. Just like that. And if you wanted to see if your float was working properly with it upside down, it's blocking off the fuel, but when it drops down, you can hear the air going through, so the float is working. And then on your bowl, you're gonna want to put your spring back in once you got it all clean. Put your spring back in. Put your little piston, whatever, I'm not sure what they call this, but it works kind of like a piston. And then you're going to want to put this back in. And make sure it all seals down good. Well, there we go. Gotta get a little O-ring swole up just a little bit. Let me see. Let's see. Get it to go down level. And it will work. You got a little screw that's going to go in there. That'll hold that down. And I'm not saying that this is right or wrong, but you could go right in there. You could push down on that plunger to make sure it's working properly. And then you got this little jet here. Like I say, I think it's the kick down jet. Then you're going to want to put your O-ring back on. Once you get that on, like I say, carb cleaner, brake cleaner will swell this thing up. So you want to make sure that you don't get the carb cleaner on that. Get it all situated where it needs to go. You can kind of turn that up just a little bit. Look at it one more time just to make sure. Get it all turned up. Set it down on it. Get your bolts. And again, don't know what the torque specs are. I'm torquing them to what I feel they need to be. Is that correct? No. But will it work? Absolutely. Absolutely it will work. Don't recommend this on wheel bearings and stuff like that. But for what we're doing here, it will work perfectly. Get everything snugged down, and we will be back putting it on the engine in just a second. All right, you want to make sure you put your drain plug off your bowl back in. Get you something to tighten that up with. Get your little spacer. Get it ready. See, I don't do this every day, so this may not be how the boat mechanic does it, but it's the way I do it. Get your supply line back on. Get your hose clamp on. And get it worked up in. it back. Again, I'm not sure what the torque specs are. I should have them, but I don't. Torquing them to what I feel it needs to be. Click, 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 click. Yeah, that was the torque. Get your throttle cable, get it on. These are little clips. Clip your clip back on. Get your choke rod. Stick it back in. Again, it's just a little clip. Check your choke. Check your throttle. Whoop, it's working. And again, you see that? That's the little plunger that's giving it extra fuel whenever you give it gas, bring it off of an idle. All right, I'm gonna get some water on it, get it plugged up, hooked up, and we're gonna see if it'll run. All right, you'd want to check your oil before you ever fire up the engine. Check your oil. It is perfect. Perfect oil. Now we're going to hook up. I did get a new fuel line before this one. Put your fuel line in. Get your primer bulb. Get you some fuel going to it. Hook up your little line here that I should have hooked up while ago. Prime it up. And we're going to roll it to the warm-up position. Choke it. Before you can bring it down to an idle, but I tell you what, that there